When I was growing up, there was no such thing as Southern gospel music. Now, there were quartets and there were mixed groups in the South that sang gospel music, but in those days, everything fit into the wide variety of a gospel music category, except for black gospel, believe it or not, which was a genre of gospel music that stood out on its own. It still does. Then styles began to become more broad and defined, and there was inspirational, there was folk, there was Christian country, etc. So then around 1976, the Gospel Music Association began to split the gospel music categories up, and I suppose it had to do largely with radio station listenership demographics for advertising, and it was certainly helpful in enlarging recognition for musical excellence at the Dove Awards. It was at that time that black gospel went away, and quartets and mixed groups were placed into the Southern gospel category, and black gospel simply became gospel music. I was on the bus with some dear friends of ours from Detroit, the famed Clark sisters. My twin brother actually drove the bus for them, and we were discussing how that prior to 1976 that they had had many songs on the black gospel charts, which, of course, they remembered well. Now, let me tell you something. Even though I always thought we sang gospel music, when black gospel became gospel, we couldn't come close to the passion and the soul that those precious brothers and sisters convey. It was probably around 2002. We were singing in a revival meeting somewhere around Hickory, North Carolina, for a longtime friend of ours, Pastor Tommy Campbell. And he had his black pastor friend, Arthur Mason, preaching that revival meeting for him. Brother Arthur said this in the message, quote, he said, "I'll tell you what, folks, I don't know about you, but I found myself in some situations, and I've had some experiences lately that have driven me into my prayer closet." He said, "I've been talking to the Heavenly Father about them, and He's been talking to me." He said, while I was on my knees in that prayer closet, I realized that I was just going to have to give up. And I'll tell you what, he said, I'm coming out with my hands up. I knew that one would sing, and so I wrote that song with the late Shannon Childress. We recorded it, I think, in 2004. It was on an album that was produced by Brady Barnett. Brady got Tyrone Dickerson and his Voices of Victory Choir from Nashville, Tennessee, to back us up on this song, to give it the flavor we just could not have achieved on our own. Here we are singing it at a church house at High Point, North Carolina in 2006. The song we called, of course, "Coming Out with My Hands Up."
Bound as well.